This week's episode of Couch Potatoes Unite! Is sponsored by Found Penny Studio. Found Penny Studio is exclusively fulfilling our Patreon Tier 3 merchandise perk by doing what they do best, creating to celebrate everyday moments like your favorite TV series. Check out Found Penny Studio's creations at foundpennystudio.com and find Couch Potatoes Unite on Patreon at www.patreon.com/couchpotatoesunite.
You say you wanna watch a drama. You say you wanna watch a comedy. Well, you can watch it with your mama, or you can watch it with your daddy. You'll even sit and watch it with your middle schooler, so you can come and talk around a water cooler. We're watching all day and all night. Couch Potatoes Unite. Whoa, whoa. Couch Potatoes Unite. Whoa, whoa. Couch Potatoes Unite.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name because it's simply a super name. Hey, sometimes these jokes write themselves, or I've used this one before and I forgot. You can let me know. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For at Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU, ! Hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the website or the podcast via iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Amazon Music, basically anywhere you get your podcasts to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including but not limited to Stranger Things, iZombie, The Good Place, Game of Thrones, American Horror Story, Grace and Frankie, Mr. Robot, Charmed, and Riverdale. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Altered Carbon, Doctor Who, Schitt's Creek, Westworld, Fuller House, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Will and Grace, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The 100, The Crown, Supernatural, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. The MASH Retrospective Series panel will reminisce about seasons 4 through 7. The Outlander panel will get caught up on season 2. And the Star Trek 50 Plus series will talk season 5 of The Next Generation. We'll be launching new panels covering the Breaking Bad universe, This Is Us, The Orville, Big Little Lies, The Good Doctor, Call the Midwife, The Animaniacs, Killing Eve, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll consider the moral implications and quick cancellation of Dollhouse. We'll travel through time and experience all sorts of identities with Quantum Leap. We'll thank the Golden Girls for being friends. We'll cry bazinga for Big Bang Theory, and we'll dive deep into the fantasy world of the magicians. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from bunkers, comedy shows, Comic-Cons, and game stores. Plus, we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff, including in these semi-quarantine times. So make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the website, our YouTube channel, our Apple iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, CastBox, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Plus, brand new for 2021, you can subscribe to us via Patreon. In an effort to get fancier, to upgrade some of our stuff, and to build some capacity, Couch Potatoes Unite is on Patreon to provide the opportunity to subscribe for perks, including member-exclusive email and Discord access, bonus content, TV-themed merch, and the ability to join CPU for occasional watch parties, and in so doing, possibly to place priority requests for shows that we cover. If any of this sounds like fun to you, head on over to Patreon or download the app and search for our name, Couch Potatoes Unite. Don't forget the exclamation point. In the meantime, if you don't hear a show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we always seek new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of the outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback, though if you go by the name Lex Luthor, we'll probably politely ignore you. Today, we're around the water cooler and continuing another of CPU's podcast series. The series does not have a fixed number of episodes like other series we do. Rather, it is ongoing and covers a number of shows that fall under one large umbrella, expanding into a quite popular universe of comic book adaptations. With that said, today's episode is episode 29 of our DCTU series, in which our DCTU expert panel discusses the DC television universe, i.e. television programs adapted from DC comic book properties that have morphed and expanded into one television universe. In this 29th episode of our DCTU podcast series, we talk the now penultimate season 5 of Supergirl, which aired from October 6, 2019 to May 17, 2020, with a total of 19 episodes, all on the CW. To remind you listeners, Supergirl is an American superhero action-adventure television series developed by Ali Adler, Greg Berlanti, and Andrew Kreisberg, the latter two having previously created Arrow and The Flash. It is based on the DC Comics character Supergirl, created by Otto Binder and Al Plastino, and stars Melissa Benoist in the title role. Supergirl is a costume superheroine who is Superman's cousin and one of the last surviving Kryptonians. The series is set in the Arrowverse, recently redubbed the CW-verse, sharing continuity with the other television series of the universe. In the 5th season, Kara and her friends find themselves facing a new threat known as Leviathan, who sends their agent Rama Khan, played by guest star Mitch Pileggi, a centuries-old immortal being who can bend the earth, to kill Kara. Following a multiverse-destroying crisis, Kara adjusts to her new life on the newly created Earth Prime while being forced to work under Lex Luthor, guest star John Cryer, and Leviathan continues covert operations under the representative Gamma-Memne, guest star Cara Buono. Today, in the 29th episode of our DCTU series, our DCTU panel, namely Kyle, Hillary, Spencer, Kristen, and Nick, returns to focus specifically upon Season 5 of Supergirl. Before we get too far into the discussion, I'm going to take a moment to take the panel's temperature because, after all, as we all know, sometimes a show can take turns for the better or worse in our heads, or can continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof, depending upon story evolution. As always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have watched all episodes of Supergirl to date and will without doubt discuss sensitive plot points from this and other past seasons of this TV universe. So for those of you who are not caught up on Supergirl, or really any of the DCTU to date, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel! How are you?
Good.
Hey.
We're good.
Well, this is our 4th in a row of the DCTU marathon. Are you ready to talk about Season 5 of Supergirl?
Yes.
Do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, modestly ready. Let's go. So what we will do is go over the standard CPU character question, which changes with each show we do. I have, again, changed Supergirl. We have people leaving. We have people coming. Supergirl, what can we say? It's another entry in the Arrowverse, and this is how they do. So this is how the character question goes for Season 5. Do you watch it because you love Supergirl? You love the character? You love the portrayal? You wish you were Supergirl? Or you love dressing up as Supergirl, even if you doubt yourself or your show at times, like Kara Danvers, aka Supergirl? Do you watch it because your sister watches it and you're very protective of your sister, even though she's a badass like you have always been and can make her own grown-up choices like what to watch on TV? Plus, you want to be mutually supportive too. What's more, in your support and through your own life struggles, you might even be a little jealous of her superhero costumes and constantly yearn for one of your own, so you watch to live vicariously through everyone wearing costumes like Alex Danvers. Do you like the show because of what it stands for? Peace, love, understanding, and girl power? You enjoy that the show attempts to tackle progressive topics through a comic book lens because you dream of a brighter future, like Nia Nall, aka Dreamer. Did you start watching the show in earnest? They're not going to answer this, but did you start watching the show in earnest in Season 5 and find yourself rather in love with Kara Danvers and blissfully unaware that she is Supergirl? You think your relationship with this show has true potential, and though you might not be caught up to speed on everything that came before, you're willing to commit wholeheartedly to what are now the show's final seasons, no matter what truth regarding how successfully executed the show is they might bring, like William Day. Do you watch it because you've grown very fond of the characters, even though the show can be somewhat shallow at times, particularly as it relates to the Martian Manhunter? And or you really only watch it for the Martian Manhunter, like John Jones, aka the Martian Manhunter. Did you start watching the show in earnest in season 5 and find yourself rather in love with Alex Danvers, and or happy that the series found something of a way to fill the void left by a departing James, aka Jimmy Olsen? At the same time, the various relationships are starting to wear on you and to interfere with the storytelling, even if you are ultimately invested in the Alex and Kelly ship, like Kelly Olsen. Did you start watching the show in earnest after it started, but you don't know if you can trust the quality of storytelling or the characters embedded in it? You don't always make good life decisions anyway, and you find yourself wanting to push watching the show away, though you admit that you would never be able ultimately to separate yourself from the Superman or Supergirl universe, no matter how much you might want to do so. In the end, you think the show might have some redeemable qualities and make a strong finish, even if the same can't be said of the brother or other friend or family member who attempted to dissuade you from appreciating Supergirl, both the show and the character, like Lena Luthor. Did you start watching the show in earnest in season 4, but you feel it is so very awkward at times, even when it makes a concerted effort to take charge and reorganize itself, like in season 5? You don't know what to make of it because it defies logic and reason, like Coral Docs, aka Brainiac 5, aka Brainy. Do you watch it, but you can't say you like much of it? You'll do your best to get behind a good business proposition, especially any that can fund your pet projects and side hustles, and secret identities, but ultimately you find yourself impatient and critical of the show's lack of consistency when following basic storytelling rules, even when it comes to stories for individual characters, like Andrea Rojas, aka Akrata. Did you decide to jump the shark? Because even though you watched it because you were asked to do so by a good friend who has more than a passing knowledge of DC Comics and Superman, and though you once found yourself loving the show in spite of yourself, and because you're protective of the show's overall contribution to the DC or Superman legacy, you also realize that the series was not living up to its true potential or purpose in this life, and this stagnation and even deterioration in the show's quality and your initial excitement, especially as you find yourself excited by other projects and prospects and series, left you disappointed enough in it by this point to stop watching, like James, aka Jimmy Olsen. You don't want to watch it or hate watching it because you hate Supergirl, at least in theory, because she's an alien and you're anti-aliens who think they are superior to everyone else, especially you, because you're the superior one and you're not afraid to do anything to make your point, like Lex Luthor. Or you watched it because that's what you do. You monitor the progress of things. You have no emotional tie to the story or the series whatsoever. You just don't want the universe to be obliterated from existence, and or you really wanted to see the episodes of Supergirl only to see how they fed into Crisis on Infinite Earths, like Mar Novu, aka the Monitor, Mobius, or the Anti-Monitor. Who would like to start?
My name's Nick.
Hi, Nick.
And I'm gonna have to throw Lena at it for the character description.
You were Lena and almost, this is your quote, I almost want to throw an aspect of Brainiac or Brainy into it, but I think you said almost because you don't like to choose multiples.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I'm just sticking with Lena this time, because while I did enjoy this season a little bit more than last season, I still don't really trust the quality, or I also struggle with the writing of why characters make certain decisions, and it takes me out of the enjoyment of it. So, Lena.
All right, welcome back, Nick.
I can follow up on that.
Okay.
I kind of feel in the same vein as Nick there with the Lena description, with a smidge of Brainy, and it's for the same kind of reasons. A lot of the writing and the decisions made by the characters are forced, and that puts me in that category.
This was Spencer, by the way.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say who I was. I got disconnected from the internet altogether, so it flustered me.
I understand. Well, welcome back, Spencer, who is disconnected from the internet and flustered. These pandemical times. Okay.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Hello. So last time I was Lena and Colonel Haley, who's no longer here. So I was Lena last time. I'm Lena again for the same reasons as everyone else has already said. Yeah, it's inconsistent sometimes. Things feel forced. Things are like, why did they do that? You know, like Nick, I did enjoy this season a little more than season 4. But yeah, still gonna stick with my girl Lena.
All right, welcome back, Kristen.
Thanks.
I will go. I am Hillary.
Hi, Hillary.
Hey! And that disclaimer I was talking about, if you really don't know this, I don't even know what to tell you, but...
No, you know what to tell everybody. You do it all the time.
No, but it's getting so exhausting in a great way. But anyways, Kyle is going to talk in a second, and he is my husband. We almost just talked over each other because we're sitting right next to each other. And Kylie is moderating, and she is also my sister.
Hashtag Hillary's disclaimer.
You might notice things along the conversation. I am jumping on everybody else's bandwagon. I feel pretty much straight up in that Lena category as well. I really always want to like it. I really still liked that first season. I thought back then it had a lot of potential. I do like Kara. I do like Melissa Benoist. I like Supergirl. But yes, I agree with the writing and the decision making and the continuity, and it is hard to keep trusting it just because we've had a couple seasons in a row like this now of kind of the same feelings, or I'm having the same feelings once I'm done with it.
Last time you were Lena and Brainy and Colonel Haley.
I don't remember what I said at all, but I feel like you tweaked it a little bit. Did you tweak it a little bit?
Well, yeah, since Colonel Haley's
obviously Haley's not there, but I mean like even the other ones.
Brainy's pretty the same. Well, Brainy's got the addition of his take charge this season, and Lena I added more because of Lena's roller coaster with Supergirl.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like she's the most apt choice for this season.
Fair enough. Welcome back, Hillary, my sister.
And I am Kyle, Hillary's husband, as she said. Last time I was Lena and Brainy, and I think that's about the same. Like the Lena description, I kind of find myself pushing the show away. It's always the last of the CW shows I watch. I'm just not as invested in it as some of the other characters in the other shows.
Actually, last time you were Brainy, but you can change.
I thought it said I was Lena and Brainy.
No, that was me. That was me.
There's an extra letter in that name.
I try to get into it, even when it doesn't make sense and it's going in directions I don't agree with. Because I did like my wife said, we really love the character of Supergirl, and she's good as it, but just a lot of what's happening around her just doesn't work, or work as well as they think it does.
All right, welcome back, Kyle, my brother-in-law. And of course, my name is Kylie. I both moderate and participate in our lovely carousel that is the DCTU series. Last time, as we established, I was Lena and Brainy. I'm going to stick with Lena and Brainy. I think it's less awkward, but that's relative compared to Season 4. Season 4 was all kinds of awkward because of the Agent Liberty storyline. I felt that them doing away with that and concentrating more on a Lex Luthor adjacent storyline worked better. So, not as awkward, but Brainy himself is awkward. A lot of the supporting characters are awkward. And I did write the Lena description with basically the whole panel in mind, not just myself. It has been inconsistent. It has been up and down. It's not always good. There are times when it's good and you're thinking, okay, this is all right, but then it quickly takes a veer into the opposite direction. 5 seasons in, it's actually getting a little boring. I would describe this one as the meh of the Arrowverse right now. That's how I feel. But we'll get into that. So, let's talk about Supergirl Season 5, the penultimate season. As I mentioned in the intro, the big villain of the season was Leviathan. Now, those of us who watch Supernatural would have warned this show that you never include a Leviathan. It doesn't go well. It just doesn't. But they did, but when they added Lex Luthor in it post-crisis, it did take a little bit of a turn and became more about him. So tell me, what did you like? What didn't you like? Maybe start with what you liked if there was less. I don't know. I feel like we're in a 50-50, 60-40, 70-30. You tell me what's better and what's worse.
I'll say right out of the gate that every time John Cryer is on the screen as Lex Luthor, the show is far more interesting than when he's not.
Agreed.
And I really enjoy and like him as the character of Lex Luthor. The problem I have with that is he doesn't belong in the Supergirl universe. And every time you get those interactions, it just feels like it's a complete knockoff. And as a fan of the original property, it bothers me.
I mean, I'm almost willing, again, because me and Kyle are into the actual material too. I feel like I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for that with John Cryer, interacting with her more if it had been done earlier, and a word that an adjective you frequently use is organically, which I agree with that. If it just feels like almost a little too late type of thing, even though I enjoy watching him a lot as well. I just feel like now it's kind of sad because it's kind of getting sprinkled in, and now it's the last season, and there's not enough time. I mean, they probably could have developed a really cool interaction between those two from the get-go. I realize they didn't necessarily have a plan for that, but...
I honestly feel like the character was brought in to save the show. I don't know that it would be getting a season 6 if he hadn't popped up in season 4.
I think you're right, too. I'm just saying, I guess my wish and hope, although that usually comes later in the thing, is that somehow it could have happened earlier and saved a lot of it. And I still think that this season that he's still more interesting than a lot of the stuff that's going on. So I'm willing to accept the fact that they shouldn't be having that normal interaction. I would be okay with that if I could have more reasonable episodes with him and her. I don't know. That's just me, though.
Do you think they'll use John Cryer as Lex in the Superman spinoff, the Superman and Lois?
I think there's a very strong possibility that they've been developing him on this show. I'll interject here that I kind of agree with Spencer. Lex Luthor is not really Supergirl's villain. And Lex Luthor's motivation, I mean, I guess you can extend it to Supergirl on premise of alien bad, they're not they're not better than me bad, and whatever else goes with Lex Luthor, but there's more of an established, it works better in terms of how the characters are juxtaposed against each other, Superman versus Lex Luthor. It doesn't work the same with Supergirl and Lex Luthor. Now Supergirl and Lena Luthor, if they had worked on her a little bit, and that part's getting interesting, or got a little bit interesting this season somewhat, but it didn't actually end up going anywhere. I think they've developed Lex Luthor as much as they have on this show because they knew that Superman and Lois was coming, and you can't have a Superman show without Lex Luthor.
And if they do try and do the Superman show without Lex Luthor, it's going to be over very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
No, I agree with you to a point on Lena. I would have liked to have seen them develop her as instead of this flip-flop that they've done all the way through. Is she, isn't she, is she, isn't she? Oh my lord, that got boring.
Yeah, they've dragged that on way too long.
Yeah, they either didn't know what to do with her or with that situation.
The entire problem with this show is, if you look at this season, Rama is a Wonder Woman villain. Then you have all the Martian Manhunter crap. Leviathan is a Batman group led by Talia al Ghul. There isn't a single Supergirl plotline in Supergirl, which is what we said when the show's created. She doesn't have enough villains. She doesn't have enough universe of her own. And by the 5th season, it's horribly apparent. I mean, even Brainiac 5 isn't a Supergirl villain. He's an entirely different comic. He almost never interacts with her. They're just throwing all the extra scraps from DC that they know they're not using in other shows to try to make something, but none of these are Supergirl stories.
And they don't even have Brainiac really acting as a villain.
No.
They've got him as some kind of chintzy comic relief. Weird.
Like weird and awkward.
And having this strange love interest. I mean, just everything about Brainiac is completely wrong.
There was a minute of hope when he encountered the 4 other post-crisis Brainiacs, because I thought, maybe they're starting to build the larger Brainiac organism, but they didn't do that either.
No.
Brainiac feels like somebody in the production team was like, people like Cisco on The Flash, how can we do that on Supergirl?
But he's
and they just threw it at a character.
Yeah, and just threw the Brainiac name at him because, hey, it's Superman brand version of nerd. And they relied so heavily on the Martian Manhunter thing, but it's like they've already done this almost every season where there's a new Martian that shows up that, he forgot about or he didn't know about. And it's literally been happening since season 2. And it's the same problem with introducing too many Kryptonians. Like, they're the last of their species, but every single season, 2 or 3 more pop up.
Yeah, except for this one and this one. Well, yeah, and so this is, again, we've talked about this in the other DC shows. This is my big issue at this point. There's so much material to draw from. It feels more like a teenager soap opera, and the storylines and the character development is repetitive. Nothing actually gets anywhere or happens. It's happening in every single one of the CW DC shows. I am sorry, I started watching them from the very beginning, Arrow's first episode, it's all the same. It's just everything is a repetitive thing.
It's either repetitive, forced, or non-organic, and that's what really drives me nuts. I think one of the biggest problems with the DCTU as an overarching theme now is that they are more interested in pushing a social issue of the day than organic storytelling, and I have no problem with them using social issues in the show. Comic books have done that for generations.
It's like a lot of comic books started.
Right. But if you're going to do it, you really have to make it organic, and you really have to make the chemistry between the characters flow and be there. And this whole universe is failing at it time and time again.
Comic books and science fiction use metaphor and subtext to tell these tell stories like this.
Yeah, allegory, symbolism, like all of it. I mean, that is why we have Superman in the first place.
I mean, just like look at the whole Lena thing. She's supposed to be a highly intelligent woman, and any intelligent woman who finds out that their best friend is Supergirl would know, oh, she knows that my brother's been trying to kill her entire life, and she's probably protecting me because of all this danger. Like, any smart person would go, oh, okay, I get it. But they have to have such melodrama that then all of a sudden, instead of being a highly intelligent woman, she goes into crazy mode.
Teenager soap opera.
Complete irrationality.
Yep.
Yes, I would like a person to act like a real human being every once in a while. Like, I know it's fantasy, but it's just way too soap opera.
Well, but yeah, exactly. I mean, it is fantasy, but it doesn't mean that you have to make the characters, like, cartoony.
And even when they do come up with a storyline that is somewhat based in a human emotion, like with Alex being very jealous of Supergirl and going into the virtual reality space and becoming a superhero because she feels that jealousy, they still manage to screw it up every time.
That's what I was going to say. Supergirl, I think of the remaining DCTU shows, because I'm not counting Arrow right now, but I think Arrow did it too. Supergirl of all of them tends to be very in your face about the social issues that everybody's referring to. And I think part of that is for inclusion and representation. I don't think that's a bad thing in essence or idea. But because Supergirl really literally has, Kyle already said it, we say it every time, literally has no universe of its own. It's borrowing so heavily from every other DC comic storyline that everything they're pulling in, even the social issues, it just feels like they're pulling it in. It doesn't feel like it's part of a framework that they've built from a foundation upward. Any of this stuff could have fit on Supergirl from the beginning, but they didn't start it from the beginning. They
Right.
literally have been throwing it at the wall spaghetti-like, looking to see what sticks, because they don't have a lot to play with other than basically digging out all of the Superman stuff and making it hers, which now they don't have to do because he's coming back from whatever that fragment is up in space with kids, Argo City, and he's going to be back, and so she can, I guess, go raise a kid in real life. But
well, yeah, I don't think any of us have any problem with inclusivity whatsoever. I think it goes
in which they're telling it.
right.
Yeah, it's the way in which they're telling it. And again, a lot of your target audience is probably, again, is going to be of nerdy audience people, younger people. And we've grown up with changes to society pretty directly and have been more accepting and open of the changes in society in terms of these social issues that we're discussing. So we don't need it forced. We don't need it thrown into our face. Like Spencer has said a million times, organically.
Right.
If it was just,
The echo being they should have done it from they really should have done something or a handful of these things from the beginning, which they didn't. Supergirl was basically Devil Wears Prada in the first season, minus the fashion empire plus the superhero cape.
And on a completely different network. I think part of the change we saw is because of the network change.
Yeah, it became more after-school special. I mean, that's really how I feel when I watch it.
Where that first season was very light and fun and kind of like playing with the audience. And then as soon as it switched to the CW, it switched into that soap opera mentality.
I mean, I'm sorry, and I know that, okay, and some people will say, they tried to some people would argue maybe they tried to make Supergirl too girly in the first season or whatever, but I felt like the relationships and the interactions she had then were still more genuine than a lot of the stuff that's happened after supposedly 5 seasons of development. And I, like, seriously almost miss, like, Ally McBeal sometimes compared to... what's her name? Callista Flockhart, compared to a lot of the stuff that's happening now.
Well, I really have to say I dislike Andrea Rojas completely and utterly.
Yeah.
I mean, she's supposed to be unlikable as a character anyway, but she's just extra unlikable because she doesn't fit into any of the framework at all.
So she was on, I'm not sure which network had it, but the reboot of Dallas before this.
Gross.
And I actually watched a few episodes of that because I saw Dallas as a kid and I thought it was fun.
Wow, you just dated yourself.
Yeah, I'm the old one of the group. But the thing is, she's not doing anything different than she was on that show. She's basically playing the exact same character. There's no range there.
And that character makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
I pulled the talking points off of Wikipedia because I didn't want to have to. This season, I didn't remember enough to want to think through it. That's how bad I had a time with it. And even as I was reading what other people summarized about this character, it does not make sense. So when I was watching it, I was not totally engaged in those parts of the episodes.
Well, after Crisis, they changed something about it. Like, she wasn't aware of something about herself, and it just seemed like the writers didn't know what to do. So the whole second half of the season, she was just there. It was really weird.
Yeah, she was a tool, and then she was just kind of discarded and would show up once in a while.
Yeah, I really wish they would have given her storyline elements to Lena, to make Lena a little more interesting. I just felt like having it be this whole separate character didn't add anything to the story whatsoever. It was just kind of a plot device to get Jimmy out, too, when she took over Catco, to give him an opportunity to leave the show. But that's all she served. That was it.
Yeah, this show lost a lot of its soul when the character of Windshot left.
Yes. I still feel it, that he's not there.
So how about the episodes when he was there this season?
That's why you could tell it was such a big difference.
Yeah, and they even still felt a little odd. There was something missing from him when he came back, but it was better.
Yeah, I enjoyed, though. Was that a 2-parter or a 3-parter?
2-parter. I mean, I guess you could say it's a 3-parter because the Mizaplik connected it, but it's his portion of it was 2 episodes.
I enjoyed the Toymaster storyline. I enjoyed him coming back, and it was kind of weird seeing all the other characters that they brought back, that I was like, oh yeah, this show has changed a lot and has still felt the same flat note.
Yeah.
It was a weird trip down memory lane.
Yeah, I just have ultimately just always a lot of conflicting feelings. So I have a hard time settling on anything. I mean, there's always aspects that I like of it. I like a lot of the soundtrack. I'm going to do that thing. I like a lot of the soundtrack choices. I like her clothes.
Did the show that Eye of the Tiger played when a tiger came on the screen? No. Yes?
I don't remember.
The one where Dreamer dreamed of the tiger and the tiger came through that auditorium? I don't remember either.
Well,
yeah, I think Eye of the Tiger came.
Dreamer is one of the
I think we all zoned out as soon as it was related to Dreamer.
Yeah, she is so flat. What a horrible character. What a terribly written character.
No, I agree. That whole episode that they took a departure just on Dreamer, I was like, oh, honey, you're better at
Hand me the scotch.
Yeah, you're better as a supporting character. Stay in the background. I get why she's there. I think there's potential in other places to develop on that idea, but this was not the place. It was not a good episode.
Well, Dreamer definitely sent me to sleep.
Also, she doesn't make entirely a lot of sense without the Legion of Superheroes. That whole Legion of Superheroes thing, I don't know. They shouldn't. None of that has really been that good.
Well, I like what Kyle was saying, that this character doesn't have a lot of story to draw from. So when they're trying to tell stories using characters and heroes and villains from other places, it's very difficult to get the feel that should be there and get it right, and they definitely aren't doing it.
And then, like, characters that could be awesome, like Ramakan, he just looks like a Renaissance fair guy, like an old man at a Renaissance fair. Like, he should be a huge Justice League villain. Like, he should be menacing and imposing. And don't get me wrong, I love Mitch Pileggi, but the show didn't do him any favors.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't look good in that costume. It doesn't...
With him and Carabono, I could not suspend disbelief. I kept thinking, Skinner, mom from Stranger Things. Can't do it.
Now, here's the thing. Mitch Pileggi's been in so many different things.
I know, it's not his fault.
No, I mean, he's, like, super also badass in, like, Sons of Anarchy. And, I mean...
He's good in Supernatural, too.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure that he was also in Dallas.
We get it, Spencer. You're old.
Oh my...
Spice.
Wow. Down.
Oh my gosh. Kristen, okay, I would fist bump you if we were together because you totally just derailed Spencer.
No, I was plotting revenge.
You did open the floodgate probably, but it was worth it.
Whenever we get back together in the same room again, it's going to be the fireworks.
I was actually talking about Dallas that was on TV 2 years ago, not 40 years ago.
Well, you never know with you.
Fair.
At least it's conveniently spicy. It's cinnamon spicy.
That interaction was dope. Let's see. Anyways, Mitch Pileggi, he's awesome, but it was a waste of him.
Yes, I agree. I didn't even realize that Ramakan was a Wonder Woman villain, and now that you say that,
He's
I'm like, oh,
the one
yeah.
who rips her lasso of truth in half and destroys reality. Like, he's a powerful villain.
Well,
and
here he moves
Here
the
he
earth.
could move dirt.
Yeah, he moves
Yeah.
dirt. The Leviathan storyline was not good.
I mean, most of it wasn't good. Oh, Nick, what was that one thing that you said in the group about, like, how the story writing is? I don't know, one day you said something.
Well, a direct quote was Brainy was like, I have to do this by myself. Will you come with me?
Whatever writer wrote that was really patting himself on the back, thinking how clever he is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's another thing, because this has also become repetitive in every single one of the DC shows. There always has to be a posse. Like, she's freaking Supergirl. They're like an Arrow, posse. The Flash, posse. Like, the Flash is super powerful. He doesn't need a freaking posse all the time when he's doing
Well, especially when one of her friends is Martian Manhunter, who's one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy.
Like, we don't need you, stupid, awkward, brainy.
It's crazy when you compare it to, like, some of the other superhero shows that did good, like Daredevil, and what he does on his own. And he's not...
What?
I'm just over
The problem they had with Martian Manhunter is they couldn't use the character as much as they wanted to because it was costing too much.
Probably.
Which is why that awkward moment of...
But it's still Supergirl, so...
But here's the thing, though. There's clever ways you can do that, and, like, I hate to always go back to it, but the Swamp Thing show introduces 4 other members of Justice League Dark.
Daredevil, Swamp Thing. Which one are we missing?
But I'm just saying, like, there's a DC show, they introduce 4 other huge characters whose budget-wise you wouldn't think, but they do it in a real-world setting, setting up their origins in really clever ways, and half of them don't even interact with Swamp Thing. You can do stuff like that on a show, instead of just, like, trying to give them these outrageous costumes and everything. That doesn't work. There's just clever ways to do it, but they're not doing it because they don't take the time to think about these things. They're not trying, they're just kind of rushing out and putting out.
It's just way too much of a formula. They're following their own formula, but their formula isn't fooling anyone. Well, maybe there are people who really like the formula that is repetitive on each one. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't judge. Maybe there's some people out there that really like to see the same thing happening on every single show.
Yeah, I bet they're wearing bibs to protect themselves from their own drool.
Oh, Lord. Well, I got to agree with Kyle, though. The entire use of Martian Manhunter has become supremely disappointing. I mean, he's barely there. When he is there, it's not even just repetitive among the shows. His storyline individually is repetitive.
Yeah, in the comic books, is he a Columbo type? Where he's just
He
a
is a
detective now?
He is a detective in his daily life, but I mean, when he's being Martian Manhunter, he's like Superman. He's flying around the globe, like stopping natural disasters and like huge threats, and like he's always active. He's always protecting and saving people, and he's a cop during the day. And then here, he have so many reasons why he's not out helping Supergirl.
He's supposed to be the last Martian. But he's got more
Until the
Martians.
busload of other Martians arrives in every episode.
He's got a brother, apparently, that's still alive. I mean, he can have a brother, but the brother is still alive. Yeah, Martian Manhunter's story
his dad, his brother, several white Martians, a white Martian that's actually a green Martian, but also a white...
I mean, Miss Martian, she still exists. She's a character. That's who McGann is supposed to be, as Miss Martian. But there's not supposed to be that many. So, relatively speaking.
Yes.
Also,
bad writing.
I would also like to declare that the Leviathan on Supernatural is better than the Leviathan on Supergirl. And that's
One of my problems with
controversial.
the Leviathan is the first half of the season was the Leviathan storyline, and I don't know why they couldn't leave well enough alone.
Because Lex apparently thought that by aligning himself, they were part of his chess game. I just didn't understand in the end why it was necessary. He could have chess gamed all around them.
Yeah, I just actually feel like that's not something, especially even in this context, that's not even something Lex would do.
I mean, I don't find any of these characters anywhere near a playing field as a real comic book accurate Lex Luthor. Like, these people...
That was a heavy, growly sigh. Just in case it didn't pick up.
That's like...
It hurts my brain.
I was gonna say, that's actually like one of his pre-rant sound effects. Oh. But if even the thought of his own rant is tiring, then he makes like an exhausted noise.
Kyle's rant. Should we do a hashtag Kyle's rant? Go.
He needs to get more amped up. That was the exhausted noise he just made.
Like, my rant's pointless. Just go watch Smallville.
Legit.
You'll get an accurate Martian Manhunter without him ever being green, but he's still a million times more accurate and a way better actor. You get a way better Lex Luthor, Brainiac. You get both versions of Brainiac, evil and smart. You don't get all this stuff. Like, it has the after-school stuff, but in a more organic way.
Well, they actually are going to school in Smallville, though. That's the difference. They're not.
But even the last 3 seasons, when he's
what's funny is they're all kids in Smallville, but they act more adults in Smallville. Throwing it out there.
I don't mind the Lex Luthor in this universe. I think they did it. The way Lex Luthor is played is good. It just doesn't belong in this universe.
Yeah. Like, I like John Cryer as Lex Luthor. He's a fun Lex Luthor. But when these are the people he's paired up against, and you're already kind of sick of their plot lines and their repetitive storylines, like, I just want to see that Lex Luthor play off Brendan Routh's Superman like we saw in Crisis, or play off actual Superman, like...
Yeah, I don't even think that Lex needs to build a chess. I don't think he even needs to play the game. He's way smarter than everything that's happening around these. So it just doesn't even make sense. I mean, Lex is, like, hyper-intelligent. He doesn't have time for these quibbles under other circumstances.
Yeah, for all-powerful, godlike beings, Leviathan is kindergarten.
Yeah.
And you think he'd want to beat them, not align himself with them, which I guess he sort of did, but... I
thought that was his end game, was to defeat them. He saw them as the ultimate threat, which was dumb because we already saw them defeated without...
This is what I'm saying.
Oh, you mean they're contradicting their own writing again? Oh, okay.
What else is new?
So here's my arrow tactics. Other than Lex Luthor, was there anything that you did like about Supergirl, or was Lex it?
I enjoy Thomas Lennon, whether or not the character he's playing or the writing of the stuff he's doing is good. I still enjoy watching him perform.
He was so he played Mr. Mizaplik this season and was recast. That was not the guy who played him the first time. And he's got more of a name and a face. He's been in a lot of stuff now, Thomas Lennon.
Even a Batman.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed that character. Again, doesn't belong in this universe.
I
didn't mind that episode, though. I
hate whenever they make Mixie look like a human.
Yeah.
I love comic book Mixie. Like, he's an imp. Make him an imp.
They made his hair go up and kind of curly.
Shouldn't he be bald with a big head and then a little bowler hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the cartoon version that Superman always beat. Really, those were always some of my favorite episodes.
Mm-hmm. With Gilbert Godfrey as the voice?
Yep.
Yeah. He's an imp.
I'm just saying, like, he's such a fun character. He's the only character you could do in this show and even have him animated against live action. And it would make sense with his character. Like, he's so out there. Like, you could have a fun episode like that. I hate when they try to make Mixie more grounded.
Yeah, you're right. An animated Mixie would actually been a lot of fun.
It's probably not in the budget. You're already talking about the budget. You want to animate something?
Well, in that case, just give it to Warwick Davis.
All right.
He's a bit old. You might have to get Peter Dinklage.
There you go.
Oh, that could be funny. He would never take it.
I was like, he wouldn't do it, but...
That's an interesting thought experiment. I like it.
You guys say that, but he played a dwarf in Avengers. I mean, he has to like some comic books.
Yeah, but he's like way too... I mean, he's like A-list, bro.
Yeah, he might do Disney.
So in other words, Marvel can afford him, but DC could not.
Exactly.
Right.
Stupid Warner Brothers, if you knew what you were doing.
They don't.
Asshole.
True.
I still like Melissa Benoist. I still like the actress, I forget her name, that plays Lena Luthor. I just agree with Spencer. The whole back and forth on her has just been exhausting. If they had made her like the way she was supposed to be like a long time ago and played off that more,
They ruined that character. That character has so many mood swings, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I remember being sick of them halfway through the second season, I think. And I was like, they just need to make a decision whether good or bad.
Yep.
And now here we are 3 seasons later, and it's still flip-flopping every couple episodes.
Yeah,
Let's pretend we're going to make her bad, but then redeem her at the last second. And then next year we'll make her bad for a bit, and then redeem her at the last... Oh, shut up.
Yeah, like I said, they don't know what to do with her. They want her to be Kara's best friend, but then they also want her to be an enemy. It's make up your mind.
It's very much like they're trying to do what they did with Lex and Clark in
Smallville. That's what they're doing. They're copying that, but they're doing it poorly.
Yeah. Because I actually think the nature versus nurture thing with Lena would be a really fascinating story if they developed it well, since in this show she's played as kind of adopted into the family, half-sister, really, not whole sister. But because they added this friendship in, and it's somehow so tied in with she has to be told the truth, and if she's not told the truth, everybody betrays her. It ends up losing itself in the so-called melodrama that you've been identifying.
Yeah, this show gets in the way of itself pretty much every week.
That's a good... I agree wholeheartedly with that summation. It gets in the way of itself every week.
And I just still really feel that all of these shows need to be less episodes. We've already talked about that. But they don't need to be... These seasons would benefit so much more from taking out the filler.
I mean, look at all the filler Martian Manhunter episodes that in the end contributed nothing, and like his brother's just like, oh, I'm sorry, okay, we're good now. Like, it just...
Want to go get a sandwich?
Yeah.
It's drawing it out like a soap opera. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think another problem they have is I don't think they always have a completed storyline for the season when they start. I think they're still writing before they get to the end.
That has to be
true. It feels
true.
that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if that's not true, then these are terrible writers. They have to.
Well, they are terrible writers, but maybe that's part of why.
I was going to say, maybe you're just giving them way too much credit. I don't know. I could see it being either way.
I also don't think that, again, I said it the past couple of episodes about the post-crisis transition being completely not smooth and bumpy. I feel like it was maybe the worst on this show. Maybe that's just because we're talking about this show right now, but of all of the shows, the anchor for the post-crisis would be Flash and Supergirl, right? Because originally they're supposed to be not the ones who survive, so it would actually be the ones that make sense to build the story off of, and they didn't even concentrate on that very well. They made it, aside from the episode where Lex was taking stock of what was different post-crisis, that actually was probably one of the better episodes of the season, but the rest of the second half was, again, just lost in the I don't know what to do with this post-crisis.
And you completely just nailed why that was one of the best episodes. Because Lex is the best character on this show.
I just miss, too, some of, like, the smaller team-up, since we're talking about the first season of Supergirl. Like, the Flash Supergirl episode in that first season is one of my favorite episodes in all of the series. And they just don't do that anymore. It's either the big crossovers or bust. I mean, those were some of my first favorite episodes of Arrow, was, you know, just Oliver and Barry. I feel like that's a missing element in all these shows, that they don't have those smaller interactions from time to time like they used to, because it's all got to lead up to the big thing, which, you know, Crisis to me was kind of lame as far as
yeah, they've even managed to wreck the crossovers at this point.
Yep.
Well, they kind of trapped themselves, it seemed like, that they just had to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that they lost sight of doing those smaller ones.
Yeah, I think they need to stop. It's the whole quantity versus quality thing, and they're trying so hard to overcompensate for the Marvel Universe, and it's very clear. If they just focused on the quality, it wouldn't matter how big it is, and I just don't think I think they're, it's almost like dumbed down in a way, just because they don't understand that concept. I wouldn't need the big Crisis crossover if they just did some more quality piece and overarching story. That's me, but I don't know.
Yeah. Even Marvel made mistakes in some of their stuff too. I mean, Jessica Jones season 2 is one of the most vile pieces of garbage we've ever been forced to watch.
Yeah, but it wasn't 20 episodes.
That's true too. That's definitely where the
and Jessica Jones suffer. And I agree with you, but Jessica Jones still fits into a much more cohesive, bigger.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's my only thing with that, because I agree with you. Because I agree with you. I never got as into Jessica Jones. Like, the first season is good, but I've gone back and rewatched the first season of Jessica Jones multiple times. A lot of that is really good because of
David Tennant.
And so I agree with you on that. Like, there's no reason that, they've definitely made some missteps too, but overall, if it fits a little bit better, it's easier to forgive it. Whereas, again, in this universe, everything is really repetitive, it's really formula, it's really unorganic, all the things we've already said.
Well, that brings back my overarching point through all of these shows. They're only ever as good, a hero show is only ever as good as the villain. If the villains suck, the show sucks. So when these episodes are good in Supergirl, it's because Lex is there and he's a good villain and he's played well. David Tennant in Jessica Jones season 1 made season 1 of Jessica Jones really interesting. The reason season 2 of Jessica Jones was so bad is the villain was terrible. The reason that most of the episodes of Supergirl are really bad is because the villains are never any good. If you don't have a good villain in a hero show, you don't have a good show.
They are the primary antagonistic force for whence the hero must actually be a hero.
Yeah, your yin and yang need to be equal, otherwise it doesn't work.
Well, yeah, and it builds more of that character development and investment for you as the audience. So, yeah, I mean, I always go into watching Supergirl wanting to enjoy it, but it just doesn't happen.
I feel this time that I was mainly bored. That's how I felt. I didn't hate it. I certainly didn't love it. I was just kind of bored.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. There were moments I really quite enjoyed, most of those involving Lex, but all of these DC shows now, including The Flash, which for a long time was my favorite, they're starting to wear thin. If anything, Legends is the only one that I get any kind of excitement for anymore.
I have feelings about that, but
I mean, this season with Supergirl, I found myself not 100% invested. I wasn't actively watching the show the whole time when I had it on my TV. I was looking at my phone, I was on the internet, Facebook, I was doing other things while
it was like you were doing your homework half-heartedly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, and there's so much filler that it makes me forget parts I do like until...
That's where I'm at, because it's all that other stuff. Like, even if I am having a moment where I feel like I can get investment, I end up forgetting it, which is really bad.
Because it gets in its own way every week.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why I liked I rewatched the season finale episode this afternoon in preparation for tonight's recording, and I think that's a reason that I like it so much is that they obviously didn't get to film the other, I think, 3 episodes that they still had remaining for the Supergirl season because of the pandemic. But what they did have, they were able to piece together a really decent season finale that kind of tied everything up and left you, I want more. I want to see where Lex and Mama Luthor kind of left off. I'm interested to see what happens next. But yes, that's Lex Luthor. The episode was, down to 1 instead of 4. I would love to see them go in with a strong 18 episode season next year and cut the filler. They can do it, clearly. But will they? Probably not.
Mark Hedowitz, or whatever, the head of the CW, said he probably is cutting episode counts on all the Arrowverse shows.
Good. In this case, that's a good thing.
That would also align with the typical TV schedule so long as COVID is being managed and we're moving back to very high quotes normalcy. Okay, so there weren't a lot of predictions from the season episode. I'll read what I wrote here. Hillary literally half-heartedly predicted that Kara would become CEO of Catco. We covered that Andrea did instead, and she was very popular. Spencer wholeheartedly predicted that he would continue to struggle to watch this show. The suspense is killing me. How do you feel about it today, Spencer?
If Lex is on the screen, I enjoy it. When he's not, I kind of feel sleepy.
So the struggle's still there, except Lex is like caffeine. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
There were quite a few crisis predictions. I didn't even bother writing those down because we've already covered it. And then otherwise, I would say that you were generally more grumpy in the season 4 episode than you have been in this episode. This episode is kind of continuation of the whole universe is grumpy. Last year, it was more of Supergirl's just not good. That was kind of where the conversation went. So how would you say you are, I know a couple of you said you liked season 5 a little better than season 4. Is that true of everybody?
Yeah.
For me, it is anyway.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Yeah, I liked it a little better, but it's still riding the mediocre line pretty hard.
Yeah, it's still very vanilla, which I thought season 4 was pretty vanilla. So for me, it's like I don't even remember most of season 4 already, and that's probably what's going to happen with this season. I'll forget it in a little while.
Yep. Thank goodness for those pre-episode recaps that they like to give us.
So, we haven't even talked about this except for Sideways mention. But Jimmy Olsen left the show. How do you feel about that?
They didn't know what to do with him anyway.
Yeah, it could have happened in the second season.
He never really belonged there.
Yeah, they didn't. Good for him for getting out while he could.
Do you think they will or should bring him onto Superman and Lois?
No.
He's doing movies.
Maybe a cameo or like a guest spot, but not.
No. I agree. What Kristen just said.
Like, I wouldn't mind seeing him one more time for, like, the series finale if he fits in. Like, I hope Wynn comes back for the series finale next season, but if he doesn't, he doesn't, and I'm okay with that.
And that version of Jimmy Olsen doesn't work with Superman, I feel like.
It's so... Well, I mean, yeah, it was fine for her context, but in his context, it's just weird.
Well, the version of Jimmy that he is was just far too... It wasn't the Jimmy that is every Jimmy we've ever seen before. It was a completely new...
He was Jimmy in name only. Like, he literally carries none of the characteristics other than he says, oh, this is my old camera.
Yeah, that was it. That was where the similarities stopped.
Yeah, I didn't miss him when he left, which I think is very telling. I thought
the only character I've missed when they've left is Wynn.
I'd agree with that.
Yep, me too.
Jeremy Jordan is full of charisma. He's very Broadway, So, Supergirl was renewed for a 6th and final season. We're going to do the penultimate question. What do you hope to see, if anything, in season 6 in general? What predictions, if any, do you have? What hopes, wishes, and fears do you have? More importantly, how would you like to see the series end?
Quickly.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of hopes and dreams for it. I don't really think that they're going to wrap it up in a cohesive way, because that would also imply that they've done other cohesive things beforehand to make it cohesive in the end. So I'm going to watch it because I have to.
Yeah, I really don't know how they're going to end it. It's difficult to close a superhero show when the superhero is fairly invulnerable, and where do you go with it? How do you give it a definite ending?
I have a feeling I know what they're going to try to do to make it feel like closure, and that's something with Kara's relationship, like her personal relationship. I forget the guy's name. That's
always a good sign for your main character.
William.
You don't know the name of
Maybe
William.
she'll do what Superman did in Superman 1 and go into the chamber and give up her powers and go off into the normal
That was
life.
Superman 2.
Two, yes, you are correct.
I don't like
I
that.
don't know. She's just done so much for girl power. She's wearing pants, so...
Yeah, I don't like the new outfit.
Yeah, can I just tell you, I think it's actually almost condescending that she's wearing the pants, because she was being a badass superhero Kryptonian before. Like, why does it matter that she's wearing pants? It doesn't matter. It's
she
just
had
stupid.
Spanx and fairly opaque tights. It worked. It was fine.
It was tasteful. Everybody liked it. She didn't need to. Like, it
One
bothered me.
person probably whined on Twitter and said it was sexist, and they jumped in and said, "Oh, we better fix that."
Why? That makes no sense to me. That's so backwards. Like, why can't she be badass in a skirt? Like, I don't understand.
Hey, I agree with you.
Fashion. It's sexist to dictate women's fashion. Women should wear
Yes.
what they want to wear.
as long as it has pockets.
Have the pockets.
That's what I was
Pockets
going to say. There's no pockets in the pants. So what's the point?
Yeah, there were at least... Does she still have her thumb holes? I haven't noticed.
No.
No.
Wait.
we got rid of
This
those
is
too.
just travesty.
I know.
There's
We need
some-
the thumb holes in the pockets.
And
It's
while
all
we're being
tasteful.
bitchy about her costuming, I don't like the bangs. There, I said it.
I don't like it either. It's a-
Yeah, I don't like her bangs.
no.
I think the holes are doing the writing on this show.
But the holes were actually functional and made sense, so I don't think that's true.
Yeah, especially
It
when
was a
she
play on
pointed-
words, damn it.
Oh!
You,
Ryan.
you just pooed right on Spencer's cleverness.
Oh, well, I'll get more in. There'll be more chances.
While we're talking costuming, I really hated Alex's vigilante getup.
Yeah, I don't know what that
So
is.
badly CGI'd. Like when she's showing Kara for the first time in the finale, and she screams, and they all come running in there, and all you see is the shot of her back and her butt. That shot is all CGI, and it bothered me. Like, why are you CGIing her body? I'm sure she's just fine wearing it in real life.
Why does she
It's
even
not-
need a costume?
And it's definitely not the worst CGI that DC has ever done.
No.
Superman's mustache.
Right. But it was obvious. It was so obvious.
I really wanted to get behind that. Alex was kind of a sad sack this whole season.
Oh, yes.
But then
I mean,
adding...
she kind of is a lot. I'm sorry to say, but she is a lot.
But it was the worst.
Ever since
this
they had
season.
her come out, like, you'd think that that'd be like a positive, life-affirming thing, but they've just had her always be like so sad.
I was gonna say she's like more depressed now, even though like all of her friends are totally accepting. Like going back to the after school special, all of her friends and her family are totally accepting of her, but she's still just like, it's so tiring. I feel so bad because I like that actress a lot.
And I don't even mind Kelly Olsen. It seemed like Kelly was kind of going the extra mile with the support for Alex. Alex was just... She was a lost puppy this season when really things should have felt like they were coming back together. And I really don't know why I don't know why she needed to have a costume. I just
She
don't
doesn't.
The same reason Jimmy Olsen needed to be Guardian.
Yes.
Nobody wanted it.
Not
Because
everybody
every one of
has
these shows
to be
has to be
something.
Super Friend.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Supergirl does not need a freaking posse. Knock it off.
Even if she wanted to have like sister like Alex in terms she's not director of the DEO post-crisis, fine, don't have that. She could be like heading up in the Batcave but in a Supergirl related context and then coming out and doing her, I mean, she's a skilled fighter and used weapons and she was with Martian Manhunter who does the same stuff, so it felt super kind of lame.
These shows, they
Super
feel like
lame.
they feel like every single family member has to be like this badass like member of a team. Like, can you imagine a Superman show with like Ma Kent is helping him out? like fighting crime.
Kyle, they've got one coming. It's possible. Actually, I believe that Ma and Pa Kent are both dead in the upcoming show.
They are. Don't give them ideas. just in case.
Martha!
No, we're going to get the
Unless they're
Jedi
not
versions of them.
Oh no. So you
Jedi
have...
ghost versions of the Kents.
You know, you're saying, oh no, but watch him be spot on.
I already said don't give them ideas.
They probably already thought of it. It's really tacky.
So you don't have any anticipated or desired ending for Supergirl other than...
Well, I mean, we're talking about the bad possibilities for Superman, so I'm going with no.
I mean, here's the thing. The only real question is, what other DC characters will they try to pull in for a big finish?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Who's
no
left?
idea.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is the real Brainiac or Zod. Which the real Brainiac would make sense because he has the most interactions with Kara in the comics. He destroyed her city before Krypton blew up. He actually attacked it the day before, and that's the reason it survived, is because they raised a shield before the planet was destroyed.
It's okay.
In the comics.
It's okay. She'll beat him. You want to know why? Because she's wearing pants.
I would actually like to see Lex Luthor kill Supergirl and use that into going into the Lois or Superman and Lois show.
And it kind of would have made sense if they... Okay, I don't want to rewrite Crisis, but if they... I just feel things. Okay.
They can rewrite Crisis. It wasn't that good.
I mean, if they went by like real post-Crisis in the comics, which is like Superman's worst nightmare, Supergirl didn't remember that Lex is evil. She thought he's a philanthropist, and so Superman comes back from Crisis, and Supergirl and Lex are like engaged to be married. And it's a long-running comic thing where, like, he can't convince his cousin that this guy is a huge D-bag.
That'd be fun to watch.
Which would be fun to watch, but there's no way it'll work now.
Nope, they screwed that up.
I don't want her to die, but because I would like her to be able... I would like her and her only to be able to pop up on the other show if she wants. But I don't know how they can end this show and have it be satisfying at this point.
Nope.
No, I think it's just going to be business as usual. She's going to defeat a big bad villain. Maybe there'll be a fear of her dying to add some suspense. But I think it's just going to be like, okay, we're going to wake up and go...
I think they're going to do the exact same thing they did with Arrow. They're going to finish Supergirl by doing some some crossover between the other shows, and that's going to somehow finish her. I'm not saying that she's going to die.
No, I was just thinking that also David Ramsey has his cross-show contract, so we probably will have a Green Lantern. I really think he's going to be Green Lantern when he reappears, or in the formation of it.
I mean, he got the ring at the end of... If they don't address that, then that's
Weird.
Very bad writing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we didn't see the ring. We saw a green glow.
Yeah, we saw the box come from outer space.
We believe it is 100% the ring, but
it's
they have an out by not actually showing you the ring.
He'll show up and he'll have kryptonite.
I was gonna say.
Randomly.
I was just gonna say.
Well, I was going to allude to. It's actually
and
kryptonite.
really, it was just a big misdirect, and they're gonna go towards the really lame option.
I hope he's Green Lantern.
Maybe he'll... Never mind.
All right, this is real positive. They've been so positive lately.
I mean, hey, look at the bright side, though. We're not going to get the Supergirl versus Batwoman showdown they were teasing in Crisis. So thank God we're not going to get a rehash of that movie with these girls. With Ruby Rose.
Well, it won't be with Ruby Rose, but they could still do it with the new one, because the new one will have different feels.
I don't think they're going to do a crossover.
No,
I hope not.
Because of COVID, I don't think we're going to see any crossovers between shows this season.
Especially if they're reducing the number of episodes on the season.
Oh yeah, good point. Okay, so there's really no good way to end Supergirl, so I'm watching it because I have to, because you're going to ask.
Okay, but before I ask that question... I suspend the recommend question because we're in the second to last season and there's really no point. And you're all going to say you're watching it because you have to. So, I mean, we can cover that.
What?
That's
spoilers!
Oh, of course not.
But because we have a space here between when we publish Supergirl and when we'll be covering our remaining show this year, which is Legends of Tomorrow, it's time to rank the shows. Woo!
Are we including Black Lightning in this?
Yes, it's part of the Arrowverse, the CW verse. I choose to call it the Arrowverse. Please keep it as it was. Arrowverse. Whenever you're ready, whoever wants to go.
I'll just go.
Okay.
Am I going? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, Black Lightning is the worst. Wait, are we putting Arrow in this still or no?
Arrow's done, so it's no Arrow.
Okay, so Black Lightning is the worst. Then Supergirl, and then the Flash and Legends are kind of tied, but I'm thinking that the Legends is starting to, even for me, inch slightly above the Flash, just because at least it's lighthearted the way Barry should be.
Batwoman.
Batwoman, I forgot. See, I hate that show so much, I completely forgot about it. Okay, so Black Lightning, then Batwoman. They're pretty close to each other, too. Then Supergirl. Then the Flash, Legends kind of tied-ish, but Legends slightly above it, again, because it's lighthearted and still fun, mostly, the way Barry should be and used to be.
Yeah, my ranking's pretty much the same, but Legends not tied. Legends easily number one for me. The last episodes and the way they get each of their own character interactions better, they're more thought out than the character interactions on all these other shows, and you don't get too much of it, and it's just so funny. And then the other shows, they're all slacking compared to it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Black Lightning is my bottom. Batwoman, then Supergirl is right in the middle. Flash is second, and Legends is an easy first.
I somewhat agree. I would say Legends is my first, Flash is second. Batwoman may have just edged in front of Supergirl for me. Then I would say any commercial, any political action committee commercial, then Black Lightning.
Yikes. I think my list is the exact same as Kristen. Black Lightning worst, then Batwoman, then Supergirl, then Flash, Legends number one.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a disclaimer. I'm talking only about Batwoman season 1, not season 2 yet.
I'm not including Batwoman season 2 either. I've not watched any of it, even though 2 episodes will have aired by the time we've recorded this episode. This is going to be controversial, but I am putting...
You're so predicts. I want to say your list for you because I already know what you're going to say. I know how your brain works.
Do it.
Batwoman is at
the bottom. You're going to say Batwoman? Okay, no. Go ahead, Kylie. Just go.
Batwoman is at the bottom. Black Lightning inches it out for me. I like that one a little bit better. Sorry. Batwoman season 1.
I'd rather have a root canal.
Well... At least for me, Black Lightning has a great soundtrack, a really good stylistic presence, and some interesting things happen from time to time. Batwoman does not have a good soundtrack, and it's using a city and a piece of the universe that just makes me disappointed every time I watch it, because they're not using things they could be using, whereas Black Lightning I don't even know about. I can just watch it. It's just bopping along to the music, mainly for me. But that's where I'm at with that. Then Supergirl. I would put Legends second, although I will disclaimer that I have not finished the season by the time that I have recorded this talk. I have a few episodes left. I have strong feelings about Legends right now that I think are getting a little bit better. Ultimately, I love Constantine. I do not like the fact that Brandon Routh was kicked off the show. I do miss Brandon Routh quite a bit as I'm watching the post-Brandon Routh episodes, and it's starting to bother me more than I think maybe others. And then I still have the Flash as number 1 just because the ensemble, whatever might be happening story-wise, the ensemble is delightful. And that's ultimately what I fall back to with The Flash, is that I just like the people in the cast. And I think they're having a good time. Especially Tom Cavanaugh, especially Grant Gustin, especially Jesse Martin. I enjoy them quite a bit. And Carlos Valdez. So I'm a little different, but it's all good. It's not like our opinions are divergently divergent on any of the shows. It's like this much, little flip-flops.
Right.
So, are you going to keep watching? Because you have to. Okay.
Yep, moving on.
Anybody want to contradict me? No? What? No? Well, look it. They're all quiet and looking at me like I'm crazy. Okay.
Being a dead horse, bro.
Yeah.
So at this point, I don't know that we haven't covered anything that we should have covered, but just in case, is there anything else that you wish to say about Supergirl Season 5, or what you hope to see in the final season, Supergirl Season 6?
The most unbelievable thing from this season was Kara winning the Pulitzer.
Oh my god! Yeah, I agree.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
That's true. From Catco Media, which had changed to his tabloid,
Yep.
like clickbait
Yep.
journalism thing. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, don't agree with that.
Which is funny because that's where she started, and that's how the seasons, is her arguing with that, those other people about not doing clickbait. I'm like, ugh.
But yet she somehow emerged to get notice of whoever decides who receives the Pulitzer Prize.
Yep.
That's miraculous.
It's a soap opera.
Yeah. I mean, I would believe a superhero in our real world versus a real life Kara winning the Pulitzer for that story.
It's about as believable as Jimmy Olsen going from photographer, suave CEO, to crime-fighting vigilante.
Yep.
Well, now he's just the editor of a small-town newspaper.
Which also makes no sense.
No.
Congrats!
Don't care
that's
anymore.
such a down.
Yeah, exactly. I'm literally feeling Spencer is a mood right now.
It's turning into grumpy old man very quickly. I'm going to
What?
be Clint Eastwood on the front lawn in Gran Torino in about 5 seconds.
Oh.
Wow.
He's awaiting his man crush.
Yep.
I know.
Alien to watch.
It's not like he can't just... Okay, anything else you want to say about Supergirl, the show we're talking about?
No.
Awesome!
No.
I'm very proud of all of you for making it through yet another season of Supergirl, and therefore one of our spicy talks. And so I'm very thankful to Hillary, Kyle, Kristen, Nick, and Spencer for joining me to talk about Supergirl Season 5, because we've done that. It's up, and away with the credits. Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation point was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, which is really another way of saying executively produced by me, Kylie Piette. My associate producers are Krista Pennington and Selene Rezmer. I edit this podcast, and our logo is by Rebecca Wallace. Our marketing graphic artist is Krista. Our theme song was written by Sarah Milbratz and sung by Sarah, Amy McDaniel, and Kels Rezmer. Kels played the keyboard, Ian McDonough played the bass, Christian Somerville played the guitar, and the whole shebang was engineered by Kyle Aspinall and Christian. We hail from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us, give us stars, provide comments, or review us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, and Amazon are just a few of the places you can find us, but we're also on YouTube. We have our website, and we're now on Patreon at patreon.com/couchpotatoesunite. If you really love us, pledge your support by becoming one of our United Couch Potatoes as we grow our little sofa-populated corner of the world. Otherwise, feel free to tell us how we're doing, what we should add, subtract, keep, or toss. You know how it goes. And if you have suggestions for shows we might consider, contact us at our website where we have a guest book, by email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, our Facebook, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, our Patreon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Though, of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time, and always have new episodes coming down the pipe. Just listen to our intros. If you miss old episodes or want to know in general what shows we cover, just search for us. Find us wherever you do searchable things on the internet. Don't forget that exclamation point, or contact us via our website, our email, our social media accounts, and our Patreon to stay up on all the new events and episodes by our humble little podcast, Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation point. Until the next time, Supergirl is available in its entirety on Netflix because there's a contract for them to finish out for reasons we will not spend time commenting on here. They're not about to keep those contracts, that's all I'll say. Though no premiere date has yet been announced for Season 6, the final season of Supergirl, its spin-off, which is apparently what it's being labeled on the interwebs, Superman and Lois, premieres on February 23rd, 2021. So we're all caught up in the universe just for that. In the meantime, our DCTU panel will next reconvene later this year to discuss Season 5 of DC's Legends of Tomorrow. So until next time, until next episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned!
Goodbye!
Bye.